deity and do this ritual with these colors and these objects, and that will give you mastery over this particular thing that it rules. So like if it's over swords and armor, then that would be Mars, or whatever the name they're using for Mars is, whatever deity they're connecting it to. And like I say, usually 9 times out of 10, it'll come back to something like the astrological planets. There's an order, there's a system behind it, and it's not evil. It's science. It really is. It's early science, and still to this day is valid. It's just taking materialist scientists a while to catch up with the ancient wisdom.
Well, and in all respect to you, we tend not to delve into science. Science to us is false, and we look at it from a standpoint. It's almost like how you view your gods. We hold our God or our power in the utmost and highest respect, to the point of where it's almost and it's no disrespect to you. It's almost a sacrilege to honor anything other than the Most High. And for us to go into these things, and even the mention of those names, it kind of sends a chill up my spine. So I have to do some prayer just because I mentioned the names in that passage. But the thing we tend to go into when you talked about the fallen angels coming down and sleeping with men, those were the description.
Let me jump in real quick here. All right, the time here is coming down, Brother Kamar.
Yeah.
I just want to get in a few more questions real quick.
All right, go ahead. I'll let you guys go ahead and have it, man. Shalom and praise Ahia.
Thank you, brother man. Thank you for tuning in.
All right,
man. Shalom. Let's next question.
Yeah, Gaja. It's a lot of points to build a bird out. I wish, but we got to keep it moving. He brought out some real good points, and one thing that I wrote down in the midst of his asking questions, maybe you can give me some understanding on this, Steve. Mm-hmm. You were talking about when it comes to war, the god of Mars being, them doing certain rituals to the god. You heard of this thing under the Roman Empire, and they do this today under the powers in the Western world, the Ides of March.
Oh, yeah, Caesar, beware the Ides of March. Yeah.
And usually they do their wars, even in the Western world today, America, do their wars around March.
Well, I think that has to do with the weather, but I think originally March was named after Mars.
Well, it goes back to ancient Roman, and I got it in front of me, the Ides of March, how they look to do their war at a certain time with their sacrifices to Mars.
And, they did, they would time it carefully. They would get omens and auguries, and make sure that it was that they were going to win before they went in.
Exactly.
And a lot of times they would disregard those omens and auguries and go in and fight and then lose. So they learned to.
But let's talk about that ritual though before they go to war. Do you think that was good or evil?
Well, I think war is by and large evil because it's using other people as an end. As a means to your end. Okay. All right. So we coming around. So answer that for me before we bring in the next question. When they go through their rituals for the Ides of March, you think they're asking for something good, or that black or white magic? Well, okay. I would say that if they were going to defend themselves from an invader, and that's why they were doing it, who was going to come in and slaughter them, then, that was good. But if they were going to go in and conquer somebody... Well, come on now. We know that the Romans were imperialists, and they would consume the whole. So they were known for going into other countries and destroying and making them part of the board. That's what they were doing. Yeah, I know. And so 9 times out of 10, I would classify it as a misuse of power. Yeah, so you would say that was evil, right? Imperial. I tend to think imperialist aggression is evil. Yeah, I do agree with that.
All right. So we got to pull it out of you, but okay, who we got next? Who we got next, Gocc?
Let me see. We have the next caller is Brother Rion. Let me get Brother Rion in real quick.
Hi, how you doing, Shalom?
Shalom, brother. Welcome to the Search Engine. You're live.
Thank you. I just want to say all praises to the Most High, first and foremost. And also, I think y'all kind of went over this a little bit earlier, but I wanted to get in more detail because for the last 2 days, I've been dealing with some other Israelites who are calling on the YHWH, the different names, the Tetragrammaton, and I was trying to explain to them how the YHWH is, different forms of, pagan gods, pretty much. And I wanted to ask, what's his name, John or Steve? What's his name? I'm sorry.
Steve.
Do pagans pay any respect or regard to the golden calf or anything like that, the horned god? And is there any connection to the six-pointed star and to the name like Yahweh, Jehovah? Is that all related? Or do they recognize that as related?
Well, no, I wouldn't say they see them as related, but I would say that they see the golden calf as a remnant in the Bible of a much older, and kind of trying to tarnish a much older and more widespread tradition of the bull god, who's the horned god, and represents the spirit of nature, especially of wild nature, untamed by humans, uncontrolled and powerful and outside of the human realm. So, some biblical scholars say that golden calf actually had to do with a conflict between the priests of Moses and the priests of Aaron, but I won't get into that here.
Okay.
But, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, and also, so you're saying there's no relation between the calf and the six-pointed star?
Not that I'm aware of. The six-pointed star, like I say, that's a symbol of the intertwining of the above with the below. How everything as above, so below. They call it the principle that it ties in with that art of correspondence, as I mentioned earlier. That, for instance, you can use a red object, a sharp red object, to magically call the power of the god Mars. I don't know why I keep coming back to Mars, but anyway, that's a pretty clear example of as above, so below. So anyway, that's all I'm saying is that the six-pointed star, the two interlaced triangles, that's a symbol of that principle, which is also, in mathematics, they talk about it as fractal geometry, how it, you can even see that they use that six-pointed star as a symbol for when they first discovered fractal geometry. It was through studying the six-pointed star, mathematicians like 15 or 20 years ago. And you can see that commonly, people even print it on T-shirts, that infinitely replicated six-pointed star. So there's an underlying principle there that's neither good nor evil, but just kind of there, and kind of universal. And people adopt it and use it as a logo. Well, can't stop them from doing that.
Hey, listen, Brother Rian, is that all you have to say?
Well, I just had two more questions to ask just to get a better understanding of, his view on.
Okay, going forward, we got to limit these to 2 minutes per call. I apologize, but we're in the tail end. All right, so we're going to let you go one more. All right, but I would like to say this, and I'm going to let you in. Steve, are you familiar with Moloch?
Yeah.
Okay, so who's that?
Well, some say it was I don't know. I haven't really studied that, but I know that there have been some scholars that have tied it to I think a Canaanite deity, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
but I think it fires to Moloch. Now, that's a very common pagan rite of purification. In Ireland, they used to drive their cattle between two bonfires to purify them of spiritual as well as physical disease, as a magical act. And, and they would do it.
So Moloch, let me ask a question because I'm trying to get through these calls. I'm trying to get specific.
Yeah.
Moloch is a term within paganism when it comes to gods. Is that correct?
Not nowadays, no. Nobody that I know.
I'm talking about ancient. I'm talking about what you know of ancient times.
Apparently, yeah. There are very few references. My understanding is there are very few references outside of the Bible to Moloch, so that's one that's kind of been lost. So nobody, the scholars, as far as I know, don't really know a lot about that particular deity.
Okay, and the reason I'm asking that is I'm trying to tie in some of these questions. What he's relating to is where they talk about the star of your god, worshiping the Moloch, when they used to have children go under the fire under ancient paganism. You do know that child sacrifice was part of paganism in ancient times. You do know that.
Yeah, and that is one thing that we definitely object to.
Okay, well let me ask you a question. Is that good or evil?
Well,
that's evil.
I don't know. I mean, I think
talking about child sacrifice. You know that's evil, correct?
I didn't want to. I think a lot of people do that in many ways that they just don't realize.
I'm talking about killing your child for God.
That's evil. I think I would consider that a pretty bad thing to do.
All right. So that's what I'm saying. So that's why people out there equate Satan to paganism, because all these things are in ancient paganism. You understand?
Yeah.
So listen to what I'm saying. You can't be surprised if someone sees child sacrifice as part of ancient paganism to say, okay, that must be Satan. That can't be good.
Sure, they're lumping it all together. Yeah. Yeah, and people just they don't realize that it was
just
even
to get an
in
understanding.
ancient times it was extremely diverse.
But real quick, the star of their god, Moloch, was the god of ancient child sacrifice, and the six-pointed star.
I'm not really sure that passage refers to child sacrifice. It may refer to child.
I can give you the precepts where it tell you with Moloch passing your child under the fire. Because
but
why?
That could be, like I'm saying, that could be like the ancient Celtic thing that the Irish did until very recently, where they would drive their cattle between two sacred fires in order to...
No, this was actually child sacrifice.
Cattle.
This was child sacrifice. Matter of fact, just for the sake of understanding, you researched that, but I've already done that. Let me say this real quick. The six-pointed star means the heavenly with the earthy. That was the original premise of the star.
Yeah, that's right.
Going into the ancient fallen angels that dealt with women and brought forth Nephilim of Genesis, the 6th chapter, and which all these things was taught under Enoch, which was brought out earlier. Now, to show you that the Bible have historical content, it's not a fairy tale book if you're reading it in proper content. Not like Christians. So what I'm trying to do is merge this understanding so that we can look at the Bible from a different angle altogether. We're not Christians. What we are, you would call us pre-Constantine Christians, before the pagan came in. All right. So who we got next? Because I wanted to put that out there. Yahweh is synonymous with Moloch.
All right. Can you hear me?
And there were sacrifices equated with it.
Shalom. Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Sorry about that. I just have a problems here with my computer. Listen, you know what, Steve, we might have to bring you back on the show again just for a question answer segment. There's so many people here.
The lines are packed, Steve. I mean, let me tell you, this show is international, buddy. You got people from England calling in all over the place.
That's great. So, I love answering questions, even if I'm not always right. I try to be.
I'm gonna bring in is it Ed? I think Ed is also a pagan. He's been listening, and then I'm gonna hear what Ed has to say. We'll see if we can keep it down to about 2 minutes, and I'm gonna try and bring in brother Xavier to come in as well.
Hey, guys, if you don't mind, let's give the brother that's coming in 5 minutes because we gave everyone else a lot of time, and then we'll keep it 2 minutes from there because I know he's probably busting out with things to say. So let's give him 5 minutes.